Vegas. Look for the giant rooftop donut at Sahara and Rainbow and get ready for a taste sensation like no other. Since 1952, Randy's Donuts is consistently named one of the top donut shops in the country, and there's little wonder why. And oh my God, the variety. Glazed, raised, sprinkled, long johns, cinnamon rolls, crullers, fritters, bear claws. I'm getting hungry. Randy's Donuts, 2170 South Rainbow, at the northeast corner of Sahara and Rainbow. Randy's Donuts, always alive, but always worth the wait. Visit randysdonuts.com or just stop by at the northeast corner of Sahara and Rainbow. You've seen Randy's Donuts in the movies. Now taste them for real. One taste and you'll be back again and again. Randy's Donuts, 2170 South Rainbow, at the northeast corner of Sahara and Rainbow.
Attention Medicare members. Hi, I'm Margaret Pitcher with Light Owl Insurance. I'm a licensed agent in Las Vegas. Make an appointment by calling 725-249-4994. While I do not offer every plan available in your area, any information I provide is limited to those plans. Please contact Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to get more information on all of your options. TTY users, call 1-877-486-248-2048. My goal is to ensure that all of your healthcare needs are met. Call me for an appointment at 725-249-4994. That number again is 725-249-4994.
Shopping is always easy with the Radio Shopping Show. Whether it's shopping during any one of our live shows right here on AM 1400 or listening live on the KSHP app, you can always call in at 702-221-7283 to pick up great deals with your favorite host. Or shop 24/7 at kshp.com. Go to kshp.com and select Shopper's Guide to browse hundreds of businesses featured on the show. Place your order online and we'll have it shipped right to your front door. With so many possibilities, it's hard not to shop.
As a 3-time international award-winning restaurant, Joe's New York Pizza uses only the freshest and best available ingredients. From giant slices of hand-tossed pie to calzone, strombolis, fingers, and wings, Joe's serves all your favorites. Stop in for a slice at one of their 2 Las Vegas locations at Paradise and Harmon or South Las Vegas Boulevard, or you can check out their menu at joesnewyorkpizzalv.com.
Whether you're a corporate executive, on a family vacation, or just passing through, St. George Inn & Suites will meet your specific needs. It's conveniently located near restaurants, shopping, and movie theaters. St. George Inn & Suites offers a variety of room types, 2 fabulous pools and jacuzzis, a fitness center, a free full hot buffet breakfast, and laundry facilities. To make your booking, call 435-673-6661 or book online at stgeorgeinnhotel.com. You need to stop in Southern Utah? Make that stop at St. George Inn & Suites.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, Las Vegas? Good afternoon. It is Pushing the Limits time on a Thursday. So glad you could join us. And if you're not listening to us live on the radio on the AM dial, of course, we are streaming pretty much everywhere. You can stream us live on YouTube. Just check out the PTL Vegas page. You can see my beautiful mug. And, of course, also the Facebook fan page, my personal Facebook page, and our Twitter page, which is Pushing Limits LV. So yesterday we had John Ralston on the show, and of course we talked about the local elections and on a national spectrum as well. But John had kind of broken the story out about Michelle Fiore and the comments she made at that Republican event the other night where she made some awful comments about Amy Tarkanian, basically calling her a whore. I mean, that's basically what she did. And we have the audio, and we're going to play it for you here in a few. And Amy Tarkanian has agreed to come on the show and give us her reaction. Obviously, she didn't deserve any of that. And while I disagree with a lot of the things that Amy stands for politically, for somebody to make comments like that, and I'm not surprised, by the way, that Michelle Fiore made those comments. It's just awful. But Amy's going to come on, and she's going to give us her reaction to that, the former Republican chair, who has been called a Democrat by some in the Republican Party. She's going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour to discuss that. Coming up in hour number 2, we hear a lot about Lombardo taking over as governor. What does it mean for Nevada? Well, from a sports perspective, Alan Snell is a writer for LVSportsBiz.com. He's going to be joining us in hour number 2, and we're going to talk to him about the article he wrote from a sports perspective, what Steve Sisolak has done for Las Vegas, and will Joe Lombardo be able to continue that? Well, I don't have that answer, but I'm pretty sure Alan Snell does, so we'll be talking to him coming up in hour number 2 about that. So we got a lot to get to, a lot to talk about. We got a big sports weekend coming up. Listen, the Raiders are on the road against the Denver Broncos. I have no idea. Well, maybe I do have an idea. I don't see anything from the Raiders that would lead me to suggest that they're going to go in there in Denver and win that football game. I mean, they might, but it's a meaningless game for the Raiders. But, I'm not going to be on pins and needles in that game. Let's put it that way. Of course, UNLV football with a big game, and normally when you're traveling up to Hawaii at the end of the year and you're talking UNLV football, it usually is a meaningless game, but this one is not. UNLV football has 2 games left in the season, and they've lost 5 games in a row, so now they're in a situation where they have to win the next 2 games, this one being on the road against Hawaii, and then they're at home against Nevada. They have to win. You got to start with this weekend. They have to win this weekend on the road if they want any chance of being bowl eligible. And then if they do win this weekend, they also have to beat their in-state rivals, Nevada. Now, luckily for UNLV, these are 2 awful football teams that we're playing. Make no mistake about it. Did I say we? I'm not on the UNLV football team. I don't know why I said that. But make no mistake about it. If Arroyo does not win these next 2 games, this season's a failure. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, but Brian, they won 4 games. They won 5 games. It's an improvement from last year. Then they won 2. It's a failure. Okay, stop it with the nonsense. If they don't make a bowl game this year after starting the year 4-1, this year is a failure. You're playing in a very bad conference. You started the season 4-1. I don't want to hear excuses about injuries, and excuses about injuries and excuses about this and that. No. You have to win against a horrible football team in Hawaii this weekend, and then you're going to have to come back home and beat your in-state rival, another very bad football team. If you don't do that, it is not a successful season. End of conversation. Don't care what Coach Arroyo says. I don't care what any of his staff says. I don't care what the people that drink the UNLV Kool-Aid say. It's a bad year. So we'll get into that a little bit more coming up later. As far as anything else going on, UNLV Hoops, of course, VGK Hockey, and VGK coming off of a tough loss the other day. I don't know how this happened against the Sharks. Sharks are not a good hockey team. But the Knights have put themselves in a position. Yes, they've lost a couple games in a row at home, but they put themselves in a pretty good position in the first month of the season, and they're winning a lot of games, unlike the Raiders. So we'll get to that. We'll probably talk a little bit more about that stuff with Alan Snell from LV Sports Biz as well. So as you know, Kari Lake lost the election in Arizona. And everybody knew that if she did lose, she would contest the results, and if she won, you wouldn't hear a peep from her. Kari Lake lost. She put out her first official public video, first statement since officially losing. And I want to play for you because it is so ridiculous, almost as ridiculous as Michelle Fiore's comments. But listen to a little bit of what Kari Lake had to say in regards to the election results showing that she lost. Have a listen to this.
Hey Arizona, Kari Lake here. I wanted to reach out to you to let you know that I am still in this fight with you. For 2 years, I've been sounding the alarm about our...
God. What does she mean she's still in the fight with you? You lost. The fight was over. And by the way, just because you go on a campaign and you go in your little bus and you stay in nice hotels and you make your speeches and you attack the media... That's not a fight. Kari Lake has never been in a fight in her whole life. Trust me on that one.
I've been sounding the alarm about our broken election system here in Arizona. And this past week has confirmed everything we've been saying.
Really?
When we called for Katie Hobbs to recuse herself over a year ago, they ridiculed us. It turns out we were right. The fox was guarding the hen house, and because of that, voters have been disenfranchised.
Okay, so first of all, there's lie number one. There is no evidence to prove that her opponent cheated or did anything wrong. When you make a claim like that, you have to have evidence to back up your claim. Oh, yeah, and by the way, if there are so many Republicans out there like Kari Lake that had a problem with Hobbs as a Secretary of State overseeing an election, then where were they when Kemp was running for office? He was in the exact same position. So if you didn't have a problem with that, you can't have a problem with this. The only reason why Kari Lake has a problem with it now is because she lost.
Franchised. When we raised concerns and I filed a lawsuit months ago to get rid of the electronic voting machines, they said we were crazy. Well, it turns out we were right.
Okay, so first of all, she wasn't. Second of all, you have all these Republicans that are complaining about why it's taking so long to get the votes in, yet they don't want electronic voting machines. Make up your mind, you stupid bitch. Make up your mind, because that's what you are. If you think that the process is taking too long, then you need more voting machines. If you don't like voting machines and you don't want any in the process, then it would take weeks, maybe even months before finding out who won. So she is a hypocrite and she is contradicting herself. Now she's talking about how the voting machines we were right. Yeah, a few voting machines went down in Maricopa County. Everybody had the opportunity to either wait it out or go to another area that could have been maybe 10 or 15 minutes away, or fill out your ballot through paper and drop it off in the ballot box. Everybody still had an opportunity to vote.
Turns out we were right. On Election Day, nearly half of all polling locations had problems with tabulating machines and printers. Malfunctioning tabulation machines forced voters to wait in line for hours to exercise their sacred right to vote. I talked to voters who waited in line for hours. One man told me he went to a location and there was a 3-hour line because the tabulators weren't working. He drove 15 miles to another location and the printers weren't working. He drove another 15 miles and was finally able to cast his vote, but he's not sure it counted.
Okay, so first of all, why would that numbnuts say that he's not sure his vote was counted? What evidence would he have to prove that his vote didn't count? No evidence. That's number one. Number two, if he claims that there was a 3-hour line, then why did he drive 15 minutes away to another location? Does that make any sense to you? I waited in line for 3 hours, and then I decided at the last second, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go somewhere else. It makes absolutely, anybody with an IQ over 20 understands this story is complete BS. It doesn't make any sense, and I don't think my vote was counted. Oh, really? I wonder why. Why would you feel that way? Do you have evidence that your vote wasn't counted? Besides Katie Hobbs being, the Secretary of State? I'm just curious. What evidence do you have that your vote wasn't counted? The answer is none, ladies and gentlemen. None.
Our election officials failed us miserably.
How?
What happened to Arizonans on Election Day is unforgivable.
What happened?
Tens of thousands of Maricopa County voters were disenfranchised.
Not true.
Now, I am busy here collecting evidence and data.
Stop it right there. Stop. She's collecting evidence and data. Is this the same evidence and data you collected claiming that Donald Trump won the 2020 election? You're collecting evidence and data. Hey, guess what, Carrie? I've collected evidence and data as well. And you're a crazy bitch. That's the data that's the data that I have. Go away. You're a threat to our democracy. You're a dope. You attack members of the media when you were in the media yourself. You're disingenuous. You're a liar. You're a fake. Everything about you is fake. From the 8 layers of makeup you put on, from the lighting you have when you do interviews, to the things you say about election integrity and election fraud, everything about you is fake. You and Donald Trump have a lot in common. And I mean a lot in common. Maybe even body parts too. I don't know. You guys have a lot in common. That's all I'm going to say. And the bottom line here, ladies and gentlemen, in real time, you're listening to a loser. Kari Lake is a loser. Kari Lake lost the election. She's a crybaby. If she won the election, it would have been just like Donald Trump after the 2016 elections. You didn't hear a peep from Donald Trump about election fraud. Kari Lake lost, and that's why you're hearing Miss Crybaby.
Assured, I have assembled the best and brightest legal team.
Yeah, I
and
bet.
We are exploring
Just like Trump's
every
legal team.
avenue to correct the many wrongs that have been done this past week.
What wrongs?
I'm doing everything in my power to right these wrongs. My resolve to fight for you is higher than ever.
Yeah, you're fighting for them.
This movement started in Arizona, and it quickly expanded to all 50 states.
No, it didn't.
It's a movement of Mama Bear.
Your movement started in your bowels. That's where the movement started. It started when Donald Trump became president and you decided to wear the Donald Trump knee pads. That's when it started.
To all 50 states. It's a movement of mama bears and papa bears and students and Arizonans who love this country, who want secure borders, who want schools that prepare their children for the real opportunities that are out there. It's a movement of Arizonans who want safe streets once again and want the drug crisis to come to an end. It's a movement of Arizonans who want prosperity and the pursuit of happiness. That movement is stronger than it ever has been. And I can promise you one thing. This fight to save our republic has just begun. I love you, Arizona, and I love you, America.
No, it hasn't, Carrie. This fight that you claim you've had is over. You lost. They're not going to overturn the outcome of the election. There is absolutely no widespread voter fraud that would lead any reasonable human being that's not biased to believe that you won. You didn't. You lost. And it's the same evidence that you claimed you have that Donald Trump won the 2020 election, yet you've never shown anybody. You are a liar. You are a despicable human being. You are what is wrong with politics today, and particularly the Republican Party, and the voters have spoken. And they didn't want you. And your opponent, not even a good opponent, beat you. Your political career is over. You're not winning in the future, and you didn't win now. Now, Donald Trump may in fact choose you as to be his vice president. The overwhelming majority of Americans will not vote for you, and they will not vote for Donald Trump. It's over. The reason why Republicans didn't have the night that they thought they were going to have last week is because of people like you, the crazies, the Jim Marchands of the world, the election deniers, people who show blatant disrespect towards the electoral process, people who say they want their opponent hanging from a crane, people who make horrific comments about other people because they don't support you. That's why the Republican Party is not winning right now. Now, listen, there are a lot of Republicans throughout the country that did win, but overwhelmingly, the party is in shambles. And it's because of people like Carrie Lake. It's because of people like Michelle Fiore. Make no mistake about it, that's why. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday. Las Vegas Councilwoman Michelle Fiore, as you know, she lost her bid for state treasurer. And she went on a diatribe the other night against former Republican Party chair Amy Tarkanian. Amy Tarkanian endorsed Fiore's opponent in the race. She spoke at the Nevada Republican Party event at Stoney's. I'm sure many very respected and wonderful people were there, like Mike Ronald McDonald, the Republican chair now, who is a disgrace himself. Michelle Fiore went on a tangent. I'm going to play you some of the audio now, not because I want to endorse anything that Michelle Fiore said. Let me be very clear. I don't. It's horrible. But I want you to hear it for yourself. This is Michelle Fiore speaking at this event, the Nevada Republican Party event at Stoney's Rockin' Country on Tuesday night. Have a listen to this.
This girl, Miss Alcoholic that she is, this panty dropper after 2 shots, okay? This girl, if you want a piece of Amy, give her 2 shots. She'll give it to y'all, okay? This girl campaigned against my best friend, Golchak. In Brooklyn, she'd get a beating, but here we have a couple of other rules, so we can't break her fingers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just kidding, just kidding. I didn't break anybody's fingers. It's all a lie. Anyway. Wow. You need to understand, Amy never represented this party. She was a chairwoman for 5 months about to be recalled, and she quit because she knew her time was up because she was useless as on a board. You know what that means?
Oh my God.
I wasn't going to say any of this tonight, but I have to tell you, when you drive up and down this state, we've got 17 counties, and this alcoholic bimbo who smears the Tarkanian name, smears it, makes Jerry Tarkanian rest in peace. He's turning over in his grave that his stupid son Danny married a stupid waitress from Fresno, and now screws everybody when they're campaigning after 2 shots, and now she's working for the Democrats. And let me tell you something. I worked with A. Ron Ford. He was a senator. I was an assemblywoman. Now, I don't know how snugly Amy got with A. Ron, but I'm gonna tell you something ain't right. And I know it's 2-shot Amy Tarkanian, okay? So, you know, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. This is what I'm gonna tell you. The rules have changed. The rules have changed.
You utter disgrace excuse for a human being. By the way, I will give a few people credit there. You heard a few people in the crowd. While most of the idiots there that were clapping, and you got that dumbass, the party chair, Ronald Michael McDonald, who's just standing there like a doofus, allowing this to happen. Most of the people there were not booing, but there were a few that I will give credit for, one of whom recorded it, and I give her all the credit in the world because she was threatened to not release this video, and she still did, and I give her so much credit for doing that because that was brave of her to do. And there were a few people, like the person who videoed it, and a few people around that person that were saying, you know, that didn't approve and said, no class, get off the stage, no class. And they're right, and I applaud them for that. But where was everybody else? Where was the leadership? Because there is no leadership, because this is what the Republican Party is, at least in Clark County. This is the Republican Party. And if they don't like me, I don't care, because I don't want to be liked by disgraceful people like Michelle Fiore. I left her a message, by the way, and I gave her the opportunity to come on the show today. Crickets. I'm sure she will not. I think Numchuck actually heard me leave that voicemail, didn't you?
That was a golden message.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it.
Oh, listen, I'll be honest with you. I left her a message. I said, you're a coward. I said, Amy Tarkanian is coming on the show at the bottom of the hour. I also congratulated her on her loss. Said, congratulations. And I said, Amy Tarkanian's coming on the show. I'll give you an opportunity to come on and defend your disgraceful comments. Of course she won't do it. And why are people afraid of this disgusting woman? Disgusting. Why are people afraid of her? Why are Republicans afraid to speak out against this horrible human being? You won't hear that audio. Speaking locally now, right? Conservative talk radio in Las Vegas, right? You won't hear that audio on the Alan Stock Show today. You won't hear that audio on Kevin Wall's show today or Wayne Allen Kook. Why is that? And let me ask you a question. If a prominent Democrat or a well-known Democrat within the Democratic Party basically called another Democrat who was the former head of the party here a whore, they'd be talking about it all day today. Here's the difference between me and these scumbags. If that was a Democrat, I'd be doing the same thing. I don't care if you have an R or a D next to your name. Because somebody doesn't support your campaign, you allege that they're a whore. Because somebody doesn't support your campaign, you threaten violence against them. You defame them. You allege that they had an inappropriate physical relationship with somebody that they support. Amy Tarkanian is a happily married woman. She's a mother. It shouldn't matter whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. I will call you out. But for conservative talk show hosts, by the way, it's all across the country, but particularly here in Las Vegas, those talk show hosts that I mentioned, all they are Republican echo chambers. That's all they are, and that's all they do. I am not a Republican echo chamber. I'm not a Democratic echo chamber. It's not what I do. I call it out as I see it. This is disgusting. And for the people out there that cheered, are the same idiot MAGAs that cheer at a Trump rally when he incites violence. Same types of people. When Donald Trump makes racist remarks at one of his rallies, the people that cheer are the same people that cheered the other night in Las Vegas when Michelle Fiore made the comments she made about Amy Tarkanian. Exactly the same. There's no difference. It's disgusting. I've had my disagreements with the Tarkanians. Certainly had my disagreements with Danny Tarkanian. I've interviewed him dozens of times. We've gotten into it on social media. Sometimes it's gotten a little personal. I don't want it to get like that. Never have I ever gone after his family. Never have I ever said anything even close to what Michelle Fiore said. Because I believe they are still decent human beings. Amy Tarkanian is a good mother, a good wife, and a decent person. We can disagree on policy and politics. Nobody should ever go that route. And Michelle Fiore should be disavowed from everybody within the Republican Party, especially the leaders like Ronald Michael McDonald, who hasn't said anything. Everybody should make sure that Michelle Fiore never gets the opportunity to run again for office. This should disqualify her ever from running again. She is a disgrace, and she's ugly on the inside. I won't comment on the outside. I think you know my opinion probably on that one. But that's here nor there. She is a disgrace. And I wanted to give Amy Tarkanian the opportunity to come on. And even though we've disagreed on politics and policy, she agreed to, and I appreciate that. So coming up next, we'll get reaction from Amy Tarkanian, the former Republican chair here in Las Vegas. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing Limits right here on KSHP. Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement, and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices. Office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. So glad that you can join us. Like I say, I try to call things as they are on this show. It doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or Republican. If you do something that is beneath office, if you do something that is disgusting, repugnant, I call you out for it, and I try to do that on a regular basis. It just seems to me lately, especially here locally within the Republican Party, that the extremists out there seem to be a topic of discussion lately, and sadly, Michelle Fiore being one of them. We know what happened with the physical altercation that took place between her and Seaman. We know that whole situation. It's Seaman now filing a lawsuit, or she has already filed a lawsuit. Michelle Fiore is not. It's not anything that I haven't already talked about. When you put panties on your face, mocking people for wearing masks, it's beneath the office. I think probably we all could agree on that. And I'm not going to play those comments again. I played them in the first segment. We know what Michelle Fiore said about Amy Tarkanian. Any reasonable human being would tell you how horrible and disgusting it is. It's just terrible, and it needs to be called out. And joining me right now, I appreciate Amy Tarkanian joining us to respond to this. Amy, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you coming on with me. How are you?
I'm good, actually. And I want to say thank you as well for calling out the repugnant comments. And they are very reckless. And you mentioned Councilwoman Seaman and her lawsuit that she's got right now going on in regards to the physical attack that took place in City Hall. During those comments, and I don't know if you played them or not, she actually thought it would be funny to threaten me physically and say that if we were in Brooklyn, I would take a beating, and then continue to say that she would break my fingers.
Yes, I played that. I played the whole thing unedited. And the lady, I'm sure you've heard, Amy, who recorded that, my understanding is she was threatened not to release it. And I'm glad she did. And I will give people around her some credit, because there were a few people around her that were not very happy with Michelle Fiore's comments. But I want to ask you this before I get to Fiore. What do you make of the fact that Michael McDonald and some of the Republican leaders here have not called out her statements? What do you make of that? What does that say about the Republican Party here?
Well, they should have taken the mic away or turned it off, number one. Number two, he actually participated in a later portion where he unleashes his attack on both Danny and myself and the other Republicans who decided not to fall in line with voting a straight ticket, and actually have the audacity to question some of the quality of the candidates, and actually question maybe the strategy or the lack thereof that had been going on for many years underneath Michael McDonald's chairmanship. And so if you're going to lash out on people that disagree with you, that's all it is. That's what politics is. It's the art of persuasion. And if you're not able to sell your issues, your ideas, or your candidate, then guess what? They're going to go somewhere else. And that's exactly what a number of us Republicans chose to do. And so he too threatened the Republicans. And I can't recall exactly word verbatim, but it was something along the lines where you would hear from a mobster or a thug.
We're going to find you. We know who you are. I think.
Yeah. And it was, your day is coming.
Right. Yeah. It's just horrible. It's terrible. I mean, she went into detail, calling you an alcoholic,
right?
Saying, two-shot, Amy, we all know what that means, which is absurd. I'm going to say this, and then and I think you know this about me, but listen, I haven't always agreed politically with you or your husband. I've interviewed your husband a gazillion times. The people that know you well, that I'm friends with, they all tell me the same thing about you, that you're a good mother, that you're a good wife, and that you're a good person, right?
Well, thank you.
And I've never said anything even close about you guys to what Michelle Fiore said, and I never would, by the way. There's a difference between maybe getting a little emotional and disagreeing with somebody politically, and then taking the step that Michelle Fiore took. I have to ask you this. Are you going to file any type of defamation suit against her? I don't know. Have you even thought about that?
Well, we currently, me and two other Republicans, are in the middle of a defamation lawsuit against the state party executive director and another Central Committee member, because they were going around peddling the lies that we were profiting and being paid to make these endorsements, which that in itself is also reckless, because what that does is then it hurts possible business. Right. It puts questions into possible clients' minds as to if you are trustworthy or not, and if you are an honest human being. And so that's another area that we're dealing with as well. So I did send the clips to our attorney to take a look and see if there can be any amendment made to the lawsuit. So I haven't heard back yet, but I can tell you everyone is pretty sick to their stomach over these repugnant comments. And let's not forget too, what did she actually allude to the reason on me supporting her supposed best, or not supporting her best friend, Segal Chadha, for Attorney General? She's claiming that the Attorney General and myself may be having an affair.
Yeah.
Do you know how terrible that is when you are married? Number one, you're happily married, and you have a family that now they have to listen to this gossip that is farthest from the truth. It is just so detrimental, and I'm actually embarrassed for them. I don't think they're embarrassed for themselves, though.
Probably not. And you make a good point there. What do you make of, I mean, we talked about, McDonald not doing anything and nobody taking the mic away. By the way, the first time I heard this, that was my first reaction. Why didn't somebody take her mic away? And what do you make of the people out there that were cheering? Luckily, it wasn't the majority of the people but there were people that were clapping when she was making these comments. I'm like, the only word that I could use is despicable. What do you make of these people that were actually egging her on and cheering for her?
It is despicable. And unfortunately, we do have a portion of the party that have been brainwashed. And they think that by misbehaving, by being a bully, by harassing, by name calling, that it's going to behoove them and benefit them. And all it does is it creates more division and more anger. And then you actually have a number of reasonable, rational human beings who no longer want to participate. You don't even have to say you're no longer welcome because you don't fall in line with us. We're going to call you a rhino and everything else under the book, in the book. We don't want to be a part of that. No. And so the pendulum is actually going to swing at some point to sanity. And I will be more than happy to remain as a Republican and not participate until that day comes.
So would you call yourself right now an independent? I mean, I know you're a staunch Republican. They accuse you of being a Democrat, which obviously you're not. That's a ridiculous statement. Okay. But because I think it takes courage, I'm going to be honest with you, to not vote party lines, being a former Republican chair and supporting a Democrat. I think that takes some courage to do what you did. And I applaud you for doing that. I would say the same thing about a Democrat. If you only vote on one line, but you support I voted for some Republicans in this election. I'll be honest with you. A few of them lost, but I know them. They're decent people and I voted for them. I didn't vote for every Democrat along the line either. I appreciate that about you. Would you call yourself an independent right now?
No, I would still call myself a Republican, but if I had to choose a second option, it would probably be nonpartisan. And I think that's why you're actually seeing third party growth happen at the speed that it is. And I know Republicans like to sit there and say, oh, well, it's all the DMV's fault. If you don't check that box, then you're automatically put into the nonpartisan position. Yeah. Okay, yes, that is true. However, I do know many people, and that's on the left and on the right, that just say, look, I'm done with the toxicity. I don't have a home anymore. And so they've switched to nonpartisan. That's why you even saw somebody like Andrew Yang, who ran for president as a Democrat, start his own party called the Forward Party. I met him face to face for the first time about a week or so ago. And he was a lovely human being. Do we agree on everything? No. But you know what we could agree on? That we're not happy. We're not happy with the way that this country has been going, whether if it was under President Trump or President Biden. We're just not happy because we don't feel like we have representation.
Right. What would you say, and would you agree with me that the election deniers out there, whether it be locally, the Jim Marchands, Adam Laxalt, Segal Chadha, they all lost. Not one Secretary of State in this country that's a Republican and an election denier won. Do you think that is a statement? Now, there are some election deniers that won races in this country. There's no question about that. But the overwhelming majority of how I would characterize them as the nut jobs out there did not win. Kerry Lake in Arizona did not win. Is that a referendum on the Republican Party? What do you make of that as the former Republican chair here? What do you make of that?
Well, it definitely wasn't the right message. Do we have some issues where we can possibly clean up and maybe improve? Yeah, always. I think that would have been a more healthy conversation. The fact that due to the pandemic, we had a Democratic trifecta and they made some election changes with our laws. So now we have ballot harvesting, which was a felony 2 years prior, but guess what? It's now legal. And then you had all mail-in ballots. And I know many people were not happy with that. But then guess what? That means then you probably need to do a better job at trying to get really good candidates out there to run for the state legislature and the assembly. So that way those changes can maybe be made.
Right. If you had an opportunity to sit in a room with Mike McDonald now and or Michelle Fiore, what would you say to them?
I wouldn't. I would probably just smile and go about my business. I don't have the desire to hang out with people that are so quick to hurt other people, that are, they don't think twice about the repercussions. I don't think they actually care about the repercussions as long as it benefits them. And I think that's very sad. Michelle was very quick to say that, stupid Amy Tarkanian married a stupid waitress from Fresno, and then invoke my father-in-law's name. He didn't know who she was. I mean, she was just rambling because she's angry. She's sad that she lost. I get it. I've been in the winning column and I've been in the losing column. I get it. But for them to lash out in the manner that they did without the blink of an eye is mind-blowing.
Yeah, I'm sure you probably agree with John Ralston. He came on my show yesterday and he alluded kind of to what you just said is, what they should be doing is they should be looking in the mirror why they lost. And they're just looking for a fall person, and they want to blame you, I guess.
Yeah, I'm the new villain.
Yeah. Instead of looking in the mirror, right? They should be blaming themselves.
Well, I asked my friends that were actually in attendance that question. I said, was there any talk of self-reflection at all at that meeting? Anything? Was there anything that they could have discussed where they said, you know what, here's where we could have improved. Here's where we did great. Here's, maybe what we need to fix next go around. Instead, it was just one giant attack and I'm the new villain. Their last villain was Barbara Sagaski, unfortunately. Now I'm this season's villain.
And it's as if it's some sort of bad thing that you were a waitress, and I hate to say this, but I'll compare it in this instance. I'll compare it to AOC, where I hear a lot of right wingers out there, maybe not a lot, but some of the whack jobs out there that go after AOC because she was a bartender. And I'm like, listen, if you don't like her policies, I don't like all of her policies. If you don't like some of that, then let's talk about that. But to attack a woman who paid her way through school and worked hard as a bartender, what is wrong with that? What's wrong with being a waitress? And by the way, we live in a city in Las Vegas, as you know, Amy, you lived here for years. It's a service industry city, and she's mocking you for being a waitress and calling you stupid. I mean, listen, I don't agree.
And how long ago was that? I was a waitress when I actually met my husband in Fresno, and we've been married now for almost 20 years. So that was, quite a stretch for an attack on what I did over 20 years ago.
How, Amy, Oscar Goodman is a friend of mine. I love Oscar. He's like the cool grandfather I never had, and he comes on this show all the time. But I said, Oscar, why are you supporting Michelle Fiore? Why are you endorsing her? And I named some of the horrible things that Michelle has said over the years. And his only response to me was, well, she's my friend. And I was disappointed, and I'm disappointed in anybody that would still support this woman. What would you say to people out there that will want her maybe possibly to run again? What would you say to them?
Well, I mean, they are entitled to have their opinion. I mean, that's what makes America so great. And, in politics, you are able to make those choices. I would hope that you would do your homework. And I think that's also part of my job as a political pundit, to go out and to tell the truth. And I've had a number of people who actually have given me more praise than negativity. However, there are still those people out there who choose to keep their head in the sand. And so when I say things that are hard truth, or, I call balls and strikes, or if I'm rattling off numbers, numbers are numbers. You don't change those at the end of an election.
Right.
And I can point out where I saw the problems and where I saw the promises. Some people still get upset with me, and I tell them, look, I'm not here to be your cheerleader. I'm here to tell you straight up what I see and why I see it. And if you don't like that, I don't know what to tell you. I guess I didn't do a good job enough of explaining the situation, or maybe you just choose not to see the situation.
So since you are that person that calls balls and strikes, then I have to ask you this question. I'm sure you've already been asked it before, but is it a good thing for the Republican Party that Donald Trump just announced his presidency campaign for 2024, his run?
Well, I know most people were hoping that he was going to hold off until after December 6th with the Senate runoff in Georgia. I think everyone knew it was inevitable that he was going to make this announcement because he's been doing all of these rallies for all of these other candidates, but in conjunction with the promise of still keeping his base around for his run, right? Now, I will say, I will give him credit that at his announcement, he was cool, calm, and collected, right? He was more of the statesman that I think the nation actually desires. I liked a number of his policies, but the fact that you're hearing from so many that they're looking for another option, such as a Governor Ron DeSantis, such as a Governor Glenn Youngkin, such as a Nikki Haley, it's because of the fear that he's not going to be able to stay in control. And he's going to lash out, just like what we saw against Governor Ron DeSantis recently and Youngkin, in a manner that was totally unacceptable and uncalled for. And it's only because he views them as a threat. Now, however, I think that's also been part of the problem on why we see the behavior or misbehavior with some of our local candidates here in Nevada, along with some of the state party members. They all feel that it's okay to emulate that behavior and that they view themselves as being strong or tough with the more, lashing out that they do, with the more bullying and fear tactics that they use. They all think that's a winning strategy, and it's not.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. For just joining us, she is Amy Tarkanian, the former Republican chair here. So I want to ask you this. Do you feel like there should be any accountability as far as Donald Trump goes for January 6th? And if in fact he did take these documents to Mar-a-Lago, which I would imagine were classified, I don't think the FBI is lying about that. Do you think he should be held to account and responsible for that behavior and those actions?
Well, that's tough, because the reason why I say it's tough is you can't control what everyone does. Now, he was really good at getting people riled up. He's really good at either making people extremely happy or, angry. And so when you've got somebody in that position who is questioning the process, who's questioning the authority, I think to some degree, yes. But did he actually say, let's go storm the Capitol? He didn't say that. But I think the fact that that entire event was leading up to the fact that, yes, they were all going to march, whether if that was peacefully or pick up a pitchfork, they were all going to take that walk together. And so unfortunately, it ended up with the way that it did. Yeah. And I mean, you can go back to my Twitter feed on that night. I'm literally in all caps yelling for him to speak up and to do something.
Why do you think he didn't, Amy? Why didn't he?
I don't know. And I don't know. And I think that was so upsetting and disappointing, because now that we're hearing little bits, come out that he had family members, he had close advisors saying, why aren't you saying something? Why don't you go out? He could have done, everyone says this, he could have done that George W. Bush moment in 9/11 and taken a megaphone and said, knock it off. Hey, we're all here to do great
Amy,
things.
you know what?
Stop.
You're right. That was a great moment for George W. Bush. I'll give you my opinion and my answer. I think because he probably enjoyed it. I think he liked people chanting out, hang Mike Pence. I think he liked the fact that people were defecating on Nancy Pelosi's desk. I think he enjoyed it. And I think he was sitting there for hours laughing and enjoying it on television when we all know he could have done something, but he didn't, because I think he's all about himself. So with that being said, let me ask you this. If Donald Trump, and he's the guy that's running on the right, and it's a moderate Democrat, who do you, and again, I know that's a very generic question because I don't know who that moderate Democrat would be. I'm just curious. You wouldn't immediately vote for Donald Trump, right? You'd have to think a lot about that, I would imagine, Amy, right?
Well, you know what's interesting is actually I've had 2 conversations this morning with Republicans, diehard Republicans, who actually think in the end he's not going to follow through with his run, because we're hearing from so many Republicans. Even Governor Kristi Noem is now on record as saying, he might want to sit this one out.
Yeah.
And so when you're starting to hear from Republicans, across the board question, if he should be doing this or not, he may end up losing that financial support, that he was hoping for. And he may end up losing the support of those already in office that he was planning on having. So I don't know if he's actually going to follow through or not after I've had these conversations this morning.
He might not. I've heard that as well. I think his ego is tough to put aside. And I think that
Yes.
might be the only reason why he sticks it out. But again, we'll have to wait and see what happens. As far as the race goes here in Nevada, as far as governor goes, what are your thoughts on Lombardo? What are your thoughts on him as sheriff, and what type of governor do you think he will be?
Well, I'm actually friends with both Steve Sisolak and Joe Lombardo. And that was another, brouhaha. I had posted a picture of me and my husband and Steve one day when we were all in the Reno airport together. Heaven forbid. I've known the man for years when he was county commissioner in Vegas. But I did take a beating for that by the far right, and I don't care. But Joe Lombardo, he and I are also good friends. And I think that Joe, one, did a really good job. He surrounded himself with the right people. And I think really what benefited him as well is the fact that people were still so angry with the way that Steve handled the lockdown and extended the emergency rules and that he was overseeing. And so I think that helped Joe tremendously. Now, a number of the same people that Joe has surrounded himself with are also those who surrounded Governor Brian Sandoval, who we know, did a good job the first round as far as Republicans, viewed. And then once he actually had to start making those hard calls and legislate and not always fall in line with the Republicans, then he took a little bit of a beating the second go around. But in the end, the guy still pulled it off both times. Right. And I think he's probably, one of the more, now I don't want people getting mad at me, but across the board, despite party affiliation, he's one of the more successul governors that we've had in recent time.
Yep.
And so you don't have to agree with him 100% or not. It is what it is. And the guy's now president of University of Nevada, Reno, and he's, very successful. So you got to hand it to him. And I think Joe's probably going to be somewhat similar.
You're right. I hope so. As far as Sandoval goes, I agree with everything you just said. He worked with Democrats, decent guy. I liked him as governor. I thought he did a pretty good job. We'll have to wait and see what Lombardo does here in the great state of Nevada. I hope he succeeds. I'm rooting for him. Yeah. I guess I would say this as far as Steve Sisolak goes, and I think you'll agree with me on this. The man in the most important hour showed dignity and class. He conceded. He called Lombardo. He wished him luck. Adam Laxalt ain't going to do that, right? He's not going to do that.
Oh, he conceded.
Yeah, but he didn't, as far as he did concede. You're right. It took him a long time to concede. But I'm talking about making a phone call to Mastow, wishing her luck. I'm here for you if you need any help. That's what Steve Sisolak did. I don't see that from a lot. Not all. I gave Dr. Oz. But why are we not seeing that more from some of the Republicans, particularly here locally, reaching across, making that phone call like what Steve Sisolak did?
Listen, once again, I've been on the winning side and I've been on the losing side, and I get it. Some people just need to have a longer moment to wrap their head around what just took place. I mean, this takes blood, sweat, tears, money, tons of hours of work and hours away from your family. And so I understand the sadness and the disappointment that happens with a loss. And, I have spoken with Adam since, and, we went through, the areas that could have been improved and the areas that, that he did really well in. And the areas where really the state party and the RNC could have stepped in, because Catherine Cortez outspent him tremendously. And the guy had everything that a candidate could hope for, right?
Yeah.
He had Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump. They hate each other's guts, but yet he was able to, have both of their endorsements. He had, the bus. He was touring constantly. He was on Fox News probably more than Sean Hannity was.
Can I tell you, though, why? Since you know Adam, Amy, I respect your opinion. I think the reason why Adam lost, a couple reasons. First of all, endorsing Jim Marchant, who is a QAnon conspirator.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, I thought that was a stupid decision. And number two, the election denying. And here's what I mean by that. Just say Joe Biden is a free and fair elected president. Can we not agree that, some improvements could be made with our, if you want to call it election integrity? I don't have a problem with that conversation. He refused to ever admit that Joe Biden was a free and fair elected president, and he still believes to this day that Donald Trump won in 2020. I think most moderates and independents don't want to vote for people like that.
See, I haven't heard those words come out of his mouth. Now, I'll tell you, I think what really hurt him as far as this election denying situation is one, yes, endorsing Jim Marchant, but two was at the very beginning when we had, attorneys come here claiming that the election had been stolen. And then you had him standing at the podium with Rick Grinnell, Matt Schlapp, and Michael McDonald, and they didn't have the evidence to back it up. And I don't think that was Adam's fault. I think that at that point you had what people like to call grifters, using him and standing behind him and using him as the scapegoat. I don't think I've ever heard him say that President Biden is not president.
Well, I will give him credit for this. He did concede. Last I checked, he's not filing any lawsuits. He's not crying cheating. And I give him credit for that because, I gave Dr. Oz credit when he conceded the following morning. In closing, Amy, I just want to say this again. I'm sorry that you and your family had to deal with these comments. You didn't deserve that. Your family doesn't deserve that. I know you're a nice person. You're a good family person, and it's despicable. And I will always defend you or anybody when it comes to this sort of stuff. It has no business in politics, and quite frankly, it has no business in our society. It's awful. If you, and I hope if she is liable and you win a lawsuit against her, I know you already have one going. You deserve that. This can't happen, and everybody needs to call it out. I wish more Republicans, I wish conservatives that do radio shows would be calling you up and talking about this. Sadly, most of them are not. And if it was a Democrat, I'd be doing the exact same thing. Amy, I really do appreciate you coming on. I know you're a nice person, and I wish you the best.
Thank you, Brian.
And I hope we can have another discussion down the road. Amy, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That's Amy Tarkanian, the former chair of the Republican Party. Like I said, I haven't always agreed with her on a lot of stuff. In fact, the way I get on social media sometimes, I get a little bit emotional sometimes. And sometimes I let my emotions get the best of me sometimes. I'll be the first one to admit that. I've gotten into it with her husband. Listen, I've interviewed her husband dozens of times. I've interviewed Amy before. One thing I will say about them, they are good family people. They are good parents, and they don't deserve this sort of stuff. Nobody does, quite frankly. And Michelle Fiore is a pig. She is disgusting in every sense of the word. Her comments are disgusting. Michael McDonald is disgusting. The Republicans out there that are quiet about this are disgusting. And the conservative talk show hosts in this town that will not be playing the audio that I played are cowards. And they're Republican echo chambers, and they are a joke. You do a radio show or a TV show or whatever it is that you do, you have to be fair, and you call out the nonsense. You call out the bad. It shouldn't matter whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. But those talk show hosts today that I mentioned earlier, they'll be talking about Hunter Biden's laptop today. They'll be talking about how horrible the Democrats are, or that Fetterman, can't put a sentence together. But they won't be talking about Herschel Walker. They won't be talking about Michelle Fiore's comments, and they won't be criticizing anybody within the Republican Party. Again, because they are Republican echo chambers. If that's the kind of stuff that you want to listen to, then have at it. But that is bad for the country. I haven't always gotten along with Amy Tarkanian politically, but I wanted her on the show because she is a decent person. I might not agree with her on a lot of issues, but she doesn't deserve this. And she is now the Liz Cheney of the Republican Party in Clark County. That's what the Republican Party did to Liz Cheney, and now that's what they're doing to Amy Tarkanian. They are a joke of a party, and that is why I refuse to vote for the overwhelming majority of Republicans in this election moving forward until the Michelle Fiore's get out of the party. All right, we're going to take a quick when we come back. We're going to be speaking with Alan Snell from lvsportsbiz.com. We're going to talk a little bit more about Sisolak and Lombardo. What does this mean for professional sports here in Las Vegas? We'll talk about that next right here on Pushing the Limits on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? that true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
STN Sports is the only sports betting app you need this season. STN Sports has it all. In-play betting, mobile parlay cards, the Play Plus card to fund and withdraw from anywhere in Nevada, and the latest lines on every game. STN Sports even lets you earn rewards on every bet. Safe and easy betting from your phone or tablet. Go to stationcasinosports.com or sign up at any Station Casino, Fiesta Wildfire, or the El Cortez. Details at the sportsbooks.
The Upperman Report, weekday nights at 9 on 1400 KSHP North Las Vegas. Online at kshp.com.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits, and it is a Thursday. So glad that you can join us. I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but I might be getting some of the guys from Stone Temple Pilots to come on the show tomorrow. They're doing, they're actually honoring that band downtown on Fremont Street tonight. They're part of the show downtown, the Fremont Experience. They have a new STP little mini show that they do, you know, the show they do there every hour. And so the guys from STP are going to be there tonight being honored, and then they have a show Saturday night. So hopefully we'll get some of those guys from iconic alternative rock band Stone Temple Pilots. I want to tell you guys quickly about my good friends at Sahara West Urgent and Primary Care, located at Sahara and Flamingo, 6125 West Sahara to be exact. No appointment needed. I was in and out of there in 20 minutes. They took care of me. I promise they'll take care of you. Give them a call, 702-248-0554. Best part is they accept most insurances, but if you don't have insurance, it's only going to cost you $95. Their website is SaharaWestUrgentCare.com. I promise they'll take care of you. They'll take care of. I promise you they'll take care of you because they took care of me. I can't talk today, unfortunately. I don't know why that is. Anyway, a man that knows how to talk who's joining me in studio right now. Great writer for LVSportsBiz.com. My friend Alan Snell joining me in studio right now. Alan, it's good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Great. It's great to be here. It's great to see you, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, the cyclist over here. I mean, this guy makes me feel like I'm 90 years old because this guy's cycling all over the place, all over the country, and you're in tip-top shape, right? Don't you cycle the Raiders games? You used to.
I actually take my bike in my car, and I find a nice little quiet place to park my car.
That's so
and
cool.
Then I just bicycle
I love
over
that.
to the media entrance.
I love it.
And I like to say that I have the best parking at Allegiant Stadium.
I absolutely love that.
I parked the bike literally outside the media entrance.
That's so cool, and it's smart, and I'm just too lazy to do it. I congratulate you for doing that. Before we get to your article about Steve Sisolak and Lombardo, LVSportsBiz.com, you teamed up, correct me if I'm wrong, with the Maloof brothers. Am I right on that?
Well, I have to thank the Maloof brothers.
Yeah.
Joe specifically was a tremendous benefactor and supporter of LVSportsBiz.com. And I knew Joe and Gavin from doing profiles of them when I was at the Review Journal. I did several stories on them and about their efforts and then successful attempt to bring the National Hockey League to Las Vegas. I got to know them really well. I really admired they have a Spitfire, unconventional, fun style of bringing sports. People know
they help a lot of people too. I mean,
they do.
Not just you. I mean, they help a lot of business people, and there's some people that are very successful that have a lot of money. They're not always helpful to others.
No,
and the Maloofs are not like that.
And the thing I like about them is that they really are into spreading fun and sports in the Las Vegas market.
Yeah.
And Joe got the site right off the bat. I explained to him that it was a convergence of business and politics and sports, stadiums, fan issues. This would be everything outside of the courts and the fields. And Joe hopped on it. He totally got it. And from day one, we're in our 6th year.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
I was looking at. Thank you very much. I was looking at the traffic. We've had more than 1.2 million readers, and we're a specialty site, and our focus is Las Vegas. And since really for the last 25 years, I've been fascinated by this convergence of sports, politics, and business in markets across the country. I actually got involved in the business of sports by covering Denver City Hall in the 1990s. 1997, 98, when Pat Bowlen, the then owner of the Broncos, he wanted also a subsidized football stadium for the Broncos. And at the time, I was covering City Hall, and I was fascinated that owners can just go to local governments or state legislatures and say, hey, can you give me some free money to build a stadium?
Right.
Now, these issues are complicated. We'll get into the whole Sisolak versus Lombardo and what's going to happen potentially with ballparks and this and that, but it's a fascinating convergence of sports and business because public policy makers theoretically should be crafting public policy and laws that help the most amount of people in your community.
But Alan, why? I agree with you. Why is it though that I appreciate that you do this? When you look at other forms of the media, whether it be radio shows, what have you, they're afraid to do politics and sports, right? They're afraid to really dive deep into business and sports. And I say to myself, why? Are you afraid you're going to offend people?
Well, keep in mind, Brian, that my background is government. I'm an old-fashioned newspaper government reporter.
Right.
So I'm used to this. This is like second nature to me.
Yep.
When sports filtered into the public forum, came down to the state legislatures, came into City Hall, came to the county commission offices, I was fascinated by it. So when I'm reporting this, I'm reporting it pretty dispassionately.
Yeah.
I mean, as you know, and I see it at all the games. So I think it's important.
You're everywhere just like me.
I think it's important to eyewitness and see things for
Sure.
yourself, because if you're a journalist looking to document, you're really writing about history as it's going on.
Of course.
And I think you have to be an eyewitness to it. So that's why I make it I try. It's, as you know, our market is booming and it's hard to be everywhere. In fact, just Tuesday night, you had UNLV basketball versus Vegas Golden Knights hockey. And we've had
UNLV was a little more successful on Tuesday night.
Yes,
That's for
indeed.
sure. So I want to get to the Lombardo Sisolak stuff. I will in a few at the bottom of the hour, but let's get some of this stuff out of the way first. You've interviewed Mark Davis plenty of times. I've gone to every Raiders game, as you have. I see you at every game. I enjoy going to the games. I enjoy covering the team. I think Josh McDaniels is a decent guy. I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't think Mark Davis is a bad guy. I think there's some really good people within the organization, not bad people. But this is an embarrassment. What has happened to this team this year is an embarrassment. And I saw a lot. I take it they played the Colts, but there were a lot of open seats at that Colts game that I saw. Fans are booing. They're throwing, which I don't condone, throwing beers at Josh McDaniels. What do you make of this organization right now? Because it seems like there's a lot of unanswered questions. I heard a rumor, Bill Plaschke, who I think is a great journalist, put out a story saying that he believes that Davis is broke. He's out of money. He can't afford to fire McDaniels. Is there any truth to that? What do you make of Bill Plaschke and what he said?
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing about that, Brian. Quite frankly, I think the stadium has actually enriched Mark Davis. Keep in mind that he was bestowed with $550 billion in personal seat license.
So you think that's
revenue.
nonsense then?
I discount it. It doesn't make sense to me. Keep in mind they are generating more ticket revenue than any other NFL team.
How do you charge $600 a ticket for this product? I don't understand.
I think we have to kind of take a step back and just look at the product, and that is, you have the novelty of a stadium that people want to check out. I think Las Vegas is a draw, and what's interesting about the crowds, especially this year and last year, especially last year even, if you remember the teams when like Washington and Philadelphia rolled in, and even Baltimore, you had a lot of tourists and visitors who were coming in. Kansas City and Denver, those fans flood Allegiant Stadium. I mean, you're talking about 40, 50, sometimes 55% of the crowd are tourists. They're not Raiders fans. So it's still money in the bank for Mark Davis. And also keep in mind that when they moved into the new stadium, they piled up literally 12 or 14 new corporate founding partners. Now, through reporting, I found out that those deals were worth $30 million a crack. You multiply $30 million times 12 or 14 different corporate founding sponsors, you're talking about $300 to $400 million in revenue that came in. So, and also because of the stadium, because of the revenue generating ability of the stadium, the Raiders, if you notice, but you know this, I mean, for what it's worth, Forbes pegged them at $5.2 billion.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
No,
so,
it is. It
I
is,
mean, so I honestly, I mean, Mark Davis, I'm assuming just went out and bought the last, whenever it was, a year and a half ago. I think it was January of 2021. He bought the Las Vegas Aces. Now I'm assuming he wrote a check for that.
So yeah, when I saw Plaschke talking about this, I was a little surprised by it as well. Here's what I think, and you can tell me whether you agree or not. I believe that they just signed this guy to a contract, Josh McDaniels. Obviously, Mark Davis is not happy with what's transpired this year. What I've heard through sources that are very close to the team is that McDaniels wants to clear house. He doesn't. I'm talking about players. He doesn't like the players that he inherited from the last regime, or the last two regimes, I guess I should say. And he wants this team to look very different next year. I don't think Derek Carr is going to be the starting quarterback for the Raiders next year. I think there's a lot of guys that are not going to be here next year, and I think he wants to reset and get his own guys in here. But with that being said,
I kind of look at this as a business where you literally have a CEO who came in and inherited the current workforce. And you know what? It happens in business. It happens on Wall Street. It happens in corporate America.
It does.
So someone comes in, and you know what? They want their own people.
Yeah.
And McDaniels isn't going anywhere. He and Ziegler are a package deal that came here. And I mean, I just don't see Mark. I see Mark Davis allowing McDaniels and Ziegler to have at least a year or two.
I think
so
he
basically, like you said, they're basically going to clean shop. What's really interesting, just going back to last year in the 10-7 year, I was fascinated that last year it was such a bizarre up and down season with some real horrible tragedies that went on last year.
Yet they still make the playoffs.
They went from 6-7 to 10-7, and there was this amazing mojo among the team, winning these like last second field goal kind of games. And then there was a funny comment that someone had mentioned on social media, which I kind of laughed, and you'll appreciate this too, Brian, because Kelly McCrimmon, who's the GM at going to Golden Knights. Remember season 1 with the Vegas Golden Knights? It was an incredible year at many levels.
I'll never forget it.
Yeah, on many levels. But McCrimmon had a fascinating quote, and his quote was, "It was not sustainable."
Yeah,
it was not sustainable. And I thought about that quote when the Raiders went 10-7, and now they're 2-7, because I'm not quite sure last year's 10-7 team was a true 10-7 team. I'm not quite sure if last year's team was truly sustainable to win a Super Bowl. I think they'd have a better record than 2-7.
Sure, but not sustainable. Making it to the Stanley Cup Finals every year is very different. What the Knights have been able to do for the most part, not last year, be a playoff team and contend in the playoffs, which is sustainable.
Right.
I believe an NFL franchise, it's very sustainable to be a playoff team. You're not going to make it to the Super Bowl every year. But what this team, in my personal opinion, if Bisaccia was still the head coach this year and they kept the entire staff in place with the talent that they have, they would probably be in the hunt for the playoffs.
I think they'd be in the 4-5, 5-4,
Yeah.
6-3 kind of record state.
Yeah. And I think that was a mistake. I know that was a mistake.
But this happens in the business world, Brian. I mean, someone comes in, McDaniels comes in.
Mhm.
In effect, he and Ziegler are the combined, really, CEO of the football operations. And
Yeah.
what do people do? They clean shop, and they want people who they believe in. In fact, you kind of saw a little inkling because a lot of the players who they did bring in had Patriots background on their resumes.
Sure, no question. All right, so Alan, I have to ask you this. When are we getting a Major League Baseball team? What is going on? Are the A's coming here? Is there a stadium deal that's going to happen? What is the latest that you know? Are we getting Major League Baseball besides spring training in Las Vegas?
Right now, I haven't drank the Kool-Aid on this particular one. I feel that NBA and this new arena being built by the Ofu Group folks, I think that is more realistic than the Oakland A's coming to Las Vegas. And I'll explain on several fronts. Number one, and this will probably bleed into the Joe Lombardo kind of transition as well, because as you know, teams move to markets because they want money from the local government to help build their stadium or arena. That's why you move. And Sisolak was interesting. As much as he loved sports, as you know, he was there at the Ace. He was there with Mark Davis sitting courtside. He loved the Raiders. He loved the stadium. He loved Formula One. In fact, his political commercials were actually sports commercials. But he never went on record for supporting the Oakland A's ballpark. There was never, ever one iota from Clark County commissioners or the governor about any public money for an Oakland A's stadium or ballpark. The Oakland A's are a regional team. That's the issue about Major League Baseball. It's mostly regional products. It's not a nationwide product brand like the NFL. MLB also, I think, demographically, it's a 50 and older kind of demographic. I think the NBA is the future in terms of I'm also not really keen on Major League Soccer. So Major League Baseball, to me, I'm very cool about that. I'm much more hot about the NBA coming to Las Vegas one
But we're
time.
talking several years down the road.
It is several years,
Yeah.
but keep in mind, our market, we're kind of a medium-sized market. We're 2.3 million people and growing. Granted, we are growing, and also the teams and the developers and the stadium builders, they get easily romanced by this 43 million annual visitors.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of people flowing into our market. Do we know whether they're going to buy a ticket? They might or they might not. But still, the bottom line is we have 2.3 million people, and you know what? There are teams that are coming online every other week here. I mean, you have the G League team, and you have the new lacrosse team playing at
What do you think
Mandalay
about
Bay.
that? Wayne Gretzky, Dustin Johnson, just to name a few of the big celebrities.
Yeah,
Steve
I
Nash.
think if it's if they're selling their tickets in that $20 to $40 niche, I think they can sustain it.
Where are those games going to be played? Is it in Henderson?
It's going to be I guess they're called the Desert Dogs, and they start in December, and they're going to be playing at the Aces Arena.
Have they had
They're
any
gonna play
press
at Mandalay
conferences
Bay,
yet?
Michelob Ultra. They've had a few things. They send me a few press releases now and then. They were very high on this particular market. This is kind of funny. The National this lacrosse league, they actually had a meeting here about 2 years ago, and I spoke to their commissioner, and this is before anyone even saw indoor lacrosse on the landscape here. I actually wrote a story for LV Sports Biz saying, guess what? The next major league team is not going to be NBA or MLB or MLS. It's going to be lacrosse.
And you were right. You were right. Do you expect Wayne Gretzky and Steve Nash, who now doesn't have a job,
or Dustin
DJ? I don't know if he'll be playing at a golf event, but do you expect them to be at the first game?
Yes, I think they'll show up.
Yeah,
I think they'll show up.
I've never seen a professional lacrosse. In fact, hold on, I've
you
never
seen
seen an actual lacrosse game in person, full game in my life. Never have.
Well,
it's very physical.
You're from the Northeast, so you're familiar with lacrosse.
Of course.
Outdoor.
Yeah.
I actually went to Hobart College in Geneva,
So that was
which is
big
like
there.
one of the
Yep.
big lacrosse
Yep.
powers
Yep.
of. So I'm familiar with outdoor. The indoor, game is a little different. Have you seen the goalie outfits? They look like
Yeah.
the Michelin Man.
Yeah,
and they're
they're
dressed
wild.
basically in these like gigantic.
So you're allowed to like check guys against the boards.
I believe so.
Wow, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
It's got that kind of hockey element. If you're just joining us, he is Alan Snell from lvsportsbiz.com. I'll open up the phone lines too if you want to give us a call. You have a question for Alan, 702-221-7283. And again, that number if you want to ask a question, 702-221-7283. We're talking professional sports everywhere in Las Vegas, whether it be the Raiders, the new lacrosse team that's coming to town that's co-owned by Steve Nash, Wayne Gretzky, and DJ Dustin Johnson. We haven't even really gotten into what the Aces have done here, but I thought what Becky Hammon has done and what Mark Davis has done with this Aces franchise, it really is awesome. It's a lot of fun. Not to say that Bill Laimbeer didn't do a good job, because he did, but I don't want to knock on UNLV basketball now, and I can't, because they just had a huge win against top 25 Dayton, and I congratulated Kevin, and I think he's a great guy, but I actually had more fun. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I actually had more fun at Aces games than I have recently at UNLV basketball games, because the environment is louder. It's a lot more, I don't know, I guess you could say family friendly. The games, I'm not going to say they're played at a higher level, because they're not, but the games fundamentally seem to be a little bit better. I love Kevin, and I love his father, Lon. They're great people. Lon, a legendary basketball coach himself, of course. The brand of basketball was not very exciting. But
well, I will say they have a fantastic defense. I mean,
they do. Yep.
I mean, that's going to be their identity, from what I can tell, is they have a ferocious defense. And they're going to be competitive.
It certainly was on Tuesday.
Yeah,
that's for
exactly.
sure. They're going to be competitive. I just think they're going to struggle to score, especially on the road. They'll compete, but they're not one of the best teams in the Mountain West. All due respect to UNLV basketball with that win. It's a huge win for Kevin Kruger. To beat a top, I don't even know when the last time was UNLV beat a top 25 team, but it's been a while. It's a huge win for them. I'm not going to take anything away from it.
Again, I take it from the business standpoint. UNLV provides a product, hopefully.
The crowds have been awful.
That would be a little more affordable for families. If you notice, Brian, let's face it, their demographic is the older sports fan. I mean, that was something I recognized right from the get-go when I began LV Sports Biz, was their demographic is graying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a much older, and they do have to get younger fans. They have to get families in there to kind of reignite that UNLV tradition.
Yeah. But, I mean, the fans have not come out to UNLV basketball games in quite some time. Alan, put on those headphones. We got a caller, 702-221-7283. Again, that number if you want to be a part of the conversation, 221-7283. We got Alan Snell sitting in with me this hour from lvsportsbiz.com. And let's go to Fernando. Fernando, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind, my friend?
Yeah, hi, guys. This is a good topic. Alan, you're talking about all these teams. Now we got the Vipers, we got the Desert Dogs, we got the Aviators, we got the Lights, we got this and that, all these semi-pro teams, I call them. They're not professional sports to me, in my mind. Do you think Las Vegas is overflooding the market?
It's getting there. I mean, it's something that has to be carefully monitored. And that's why I think Major League Baseball needs to have a market that's a little bigger than we have right now. I think with the basketball tradition in this town, I would also, if you're going to start the NBA in Las Vegas, I don't know how you feel about this, Brian, but I would suggest that it be an expansion team, that they start from scratch. Look at the dynamic and the emotional connection this market has with the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Raiders. I mean, the reason the Golden Knights resonate in this town is that they were started from scratch. People, and if you have the Athletics just kind of parachute into town, I'm not sure you get that same or a team that would be moved here. I don't know. I'm just making this up.
I hear what you're saying.
Pelicans or the Hornets or whatever.
I hear what you're saying, but my opinion is I don't care whether it's expansion or not. I just want NBA basketball in Vegas.
Right,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you want a long-term business relationship, I mean, you still.
I'll take the Pelicans, man. I've heard rumors that the Pelicans are out of there. I'm just being honest with you. I'll take the Pelicans, but I hear what you're saying. When you get an expansion team and it starts in the city,
that's the secret sauce with the Golden Knights.
Yep.
Because people grew up with the launch of the franchise.
Fernando, anything else? Go ahead.
Yeah, the other thing too is they have to watch how they make the schedules because you have VGK and UNLV basketball playing on the same night.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt attendance.
Yeah, you've right.
You
You raised a great point, Fernando, because the LVCVA, the tourism folks, the hotel folks, the hospitality industry, they have a calendar and they analyze every single date, how many people are coming in, what the occupancy rates are for that week, for that weekend, and they're looking at the weekends and schedules. So that's something which, and also the trade shows. A lot of people come in for trade shows. There's a lot of analysis that's being done in terms of the dates of the trade shows and adding an extra day or two to accommodate a sports event.
No doubt. Hey, Fernando, good to hear from you, my friend. Thanks for calling in.
Great question.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to John. John is next up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, John?
Hey, man.
What's up?
Hey, Alan, you jogged some old memories there with the Hobart lacrosse.
There you go. The statesman. Come on now.
I'm a Cornell guy. I played lacrosse at Cornell, and one of my.
I got news for you. The Hobart Cornell. You guys would remember playing Syracuse. Those were our biggest games. Was Hobart versus Cornell, Hobart versus Syracuse.
I didn't think we'd be talking college lacrosse on this show. I got to be honest with you.
Central
That's
New
a
York
topic.
State.
It's a topic. I'll be honest. I'll say I can't name you one head coach and one player in college lacrosse today. I'm sad to say.
But go ahead, John.
Hey, Alan, I'm a diehard Las Vegas Aces fan. I'm a season ticket holder, and I love my tickets. I love my seats, and I hope they stay at that arena for the next 10 years. I know that their lease was up like last year, and I was worried they were going to move, so they must have signed another lease or an extension. Do you know how long that extension was good for at Mandalay Bay?
I have to be honest with you, I don't. I'm not going to make anything up. I mean, they seem to be comfortable playing at Mandalay Bay, and fans have know how to get there at this point. I just don't know what the lease agreement is between the Aces and Mandalay Bay MGM Resorts.
Fair enough. And that guy saying that Mark Davis is like, give me a break. Mark Davis is what a joke comment that is. He's paying Gruden $10 million a year, and he's probably paying McDaniels $15 million a year.
Hey, I don't know. All I got to say is I know Bill Platsky. I've known him for years. He's a well-respected sports guy who's covered sports for many, many years. He alluded to the fact that he thinks that the reason why Mark Davis will not fire Josh McDaniels is because they can't afford it and they have this huge contract and they don't want to pay him out. John, I have no idea whether that's true or not. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, my point is, if you're paying still paying Gruden 10 and you're paying McDaniels 15 and then you can't pay $35 million for your head coach. You know what I mean?
I agree. All I'm simply saying is they should have kept the staff from last year. You could be saying, Brian, your Monday morning quarterbacking, not true. I said that when they got rid of Bisaccia, and I said they made the playoffs. They earned the right to come back for one more year. If they missed the playoffs this year, then I think you can let them go. What that team was able to accomplish last year with all the off-the-field horrible, tragic things that happened, and I'm not talking about Gruden, I'm talking about the Ruggs situation, killing an innocent woman, with all that happened off the field, including the Gruden stuff. The fact that
don't
that
forget
team
Arnett too,
and Arnett, the fact that they made the playoffs was a great. Those players would have gone through a brick wall for Bisaccia. They love the guy.
Let me ask you this, Brian.
Yes.
This is clearly Josh McDaniels is smart. Clearly he's a hard worker. Belichick wouldn't have kept him around all those years if those weren't true. Is he a leader? Because I think you're either born a leader or you're not.
Good question. Great question. I'll give you the answer. You are right. He's a kind of a geeky, smart, play-calling type guy, right? Obviously, he had a lot of good years in New England as an offensive coordinator with arguably the best player in the history of the NFL in his prime in Tom Brady, and arguably the best coach in the history in the NFL in Bill Belichick. That also helps. So while I'll give him credit, he obviously knew what he was doing. He has zero positive experience as a head coach. It didn't work out for him in Denver. He's lost like 24 of his last 30 games in the NFL. The answer is no. I don't think he's a good leader at all. I believe he's already lost the locker room, and 7-8 games into the season he's lost the locker room. No, I think the answer is no. I don't care what players they get on this team next year. I don't think Josh McDaniels is going to succeed here. I hope I'm wrong, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, it doesn't look good at this juncture.
Yeah. John, good to hear from you, my friend. Appreciate the call, buddy.
Great show, guys.
All right. Number to call, 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 221-7283. I am joined alongside Alan Snell from lvsportsbiz.com. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Alan just wrote this article a few days back about Steve Sisolak and Joe Lombardo. I know that Alan's a big fan of what Sisolak was able to do in this city, particularly when it comes from a sports perspective. What is Joe Lombardo going to look like? Is he going to help this city from a sports perspective? I certainly have my opinions on this, and I know Alan does. I'll ask him that question when we come back. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premier Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
A great time! Your entertainment destination, the South Point, invites you to experience the ultimate great time under one roof. Bowling, dancing, a live show, a movie, delicious dining, and one of South Point's 11 restaurants. So much to see, so much to do. You won't know where to start first. This week, make it a South Point week and discover for yourself why the South Point is your entertainment destination for a great time.
Best of Las Vegas winners each of the last 2 years. Glazed Donuts is a family business. Taste the passion and quality in each delectable handmade donut. Experience amazing fresh donuts at Glazed Donuts, located at 6545 South Fort Apache Road on the southwest corner of Sunset. Glaze is open every day from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're interested in large orders, please call them at 702-246-2888. Follow Glaze on Facebook and Instagram, where they're showing off all their delicious treats, and check them out at glazedonutslv.com.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams, treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Experience the Artisan Hotel's themed suites, restaurant, bar, pool, and complimentary valet. During the week, the Artisan is a quiet Las Vegas retreat that's great for travelers and locals. The weekend is all about nonstop partying and the award-winning Artisan nightlife. All rooms include free gym access and Wi-Fi. The Artisan Hotel is centrally located between the Strip and downtown Las Vegas. Book your stay at artisanhotel.com. The Artisan Hotel, your unique Las Vegas boutique hotel.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. I got to talk to Alan about this big sports weekend. I'll be watching some games at Jackson's Bar and Grill, by the way, located at really right down the street from here. Everything's right down the street from the station, right? Flamingo and Jones. Jackson's Bar and Grill every Sunday, $50 free play in November if you earn 200 points. Tuesday and Thursday, a free wine giveaway if you earn 200 points. Some restrictions apply in every Vegas Golden Knights games, all TVs and sound. And pass the puck, you went up to $100 in free play per period just for playing. Great food, great atmosphere. I love it out there. Have some great friends there. Jackson's Bar and Grill. Go check them out. Tell them that I sent you. Me and Alan, we're just talking, and if you're just joining us, we are speaking with Alan Snell. Gosh, I almost called you Alan Stock. That would be an insult. Alan Snell from lvsportsbiz.com. They do a great job, and I have other people from the website that join us all the time. And you got some great people working for you as well over there, Alan. And we were talking about the sports weekend. Let's get to that before we get to this article about Steve Sisolak. We got some great college basketball in town. Besides the fact that UNLV just, as Numchuck just told me, beat a top 25 team for the first time since 2014, which was Arizona. So that's a win right there for Kevin Kruger. It's a signature win for him. We got some great college basketball this weekend starting tomorrow at T-Mobile Arena. Great college basketball tournament. Tell me some of the teams that are going to be in town.
Yeah, you have Baylor.
Top 25.
Right. Baylor is a top 10 team.
They're very good.
I think what's interesting is we talk about
UCLA also.
Yep. I find it fascinating that everyone gets obviously obsessed with the big major league teams. Las Vegas is the king of the one-off sports event. That is what this market is brilliant at. And a guy who's really tapped into this is a promoter, Brooks Downing. Brooks is promoting tomorrow night's event at T-Mobile Arena. He's also been promoting events like at the new I call it the Foley Arena in Henderson, but it's a Dollar Loan Center in Henderson. And that's a great example. Brooks is bringing big-time basketball teams in these quote-unquote holiday time kind of, basketball tournaments. If you remember, he brought in an event that was actually the biggest college basketball crowd. I believe it was Duke versus Gonzaga at T-Mobile Arena.
That was one of the best college basketball games I've ever seen.
That was big time.
That was an unbelievable game.
My point is Las Vegas excels at these one-off events.
Because they all want to come here.
People want to come here, and our infrastructure is built. Look at where our airport is located. People don't do this. I have walked from the airport to the Strip.
That's 10
it's
minutes.
Not that bad.
10 or 15-minute walk.
Walking Tropicana might not be too pleasant, but the distance.
Depends what you're looking for, Alan. Speak for yourself. We'll ask Chris Wynn about that one. No, I'm just kidding. Horrible joke. No, but in all seriousness, you're right.
Look at F1.
Why?
Look at the whole F1.
Why are we not at the NCAA tournament yet?
It's
ridiculous.
It's going to come.
It's ridiculous. How
is
is
this because we have the stadium now?
Yeah.
I expect a Final Four to be in Las Vegas in the next decade.
It's gotta be, right? It's gotta be coming here. I mean, this should have happened a long time ago. Ever since we got T-Mobile
the whole
Arena.
Sports betting issue is a non-issue. It's It's
so would they have the Final Four? They probably have that at Allegiant Stadium.
Oh yeah,
right?
they're going to have it at the stadium for
That'd
sure.
be Allegiant. That wouldn't be T-Mobile. You need a bigger place.
You
for that.
You need. That will be at Allegiant Stadium for sure, no doubt.
So we got some great college basketball this weekend. When's the next home game for the Knights?
The Knights actually go on they're in Edmonton actually on Saturday. I believe they come back next week.
And then
the Raiders are actually on the road.
On the road against the Broncos, and I think they're on the road for the next 2 weeks, right?
They're away, I know, definitely for this weekend.
Yeah, so, we'll see what happens with the Raiders and that debacle. UNLV football, real quickly, we haven't really touched on that. I know you cover UNLV football as I do as well. They start the season 4-1. They've lost their last 5 games. Now they put themselves in a situation where they have to win their last 2.
UNLV football had attained something to me more important than even the wins, and that was a sense of relevance. They were on people's minds, winning the first 4 of the first 5 games, and then they got demolished. They got demolished.
Part
in
of it
San
is
Jose,
part of it.
An Air Force demolished them. Notre Dame demolished.
Part of that is your starting quarterback getting hurt, but a part of that is
injuries.
also, again, a part. I'm just going to call it is Arroyo. I don't think he's a good head football coach. Listen, if they make a bowl game this year, and what's their big win this year? Right, Utah State on the road.
Going to Utah State,
but they're not good. Utah State's not good this year. They were good last year. They're not good this year. They haven't beaten any really good football teams. Yes, if they make a bowl game, and that's the only way. If they make a bowl game and they beat 2 bad football, Hawaii is atrocious, by the way. You better win that game this weekend. I don't care if it's on the road. You got to beat Hawaii. That's number one. And number two, at home, another bad football team this year. Nevada's not good. You got to win these two games. If Arroyo doesn't find a way to win both these games, it is another bad football season for UNLV football. Yes, I agree with you. The first several weeks of the year, there was some relevance there. Hey, this team's pretty good, exceeding expectations. But you got to make a bowl game. You have to make. You start the season 4-1.
It definitely would have been nice to beat a Fresno. To beat.
They're good. Fresno's pretty good.
Fresno's good.
They got a very good quarterback.
Impressed quarterback.
Yeah,
I think, and a receiver. I think that. In fact, it's funny that quarterback receiver duo reminded me of. Carr and Adams from 10 years ago.
A little bit, from 10
State.
years ago. Yeah, you're right. Fresno's got a good football team. They have a couple NFL players.
They need a signature win. They need, They
don't have it.
UNLV got a lot of buzz from beating Dayton. I mean, I think.
Do you agree with me that, and by the way, rightfully so, Kevin Kruger does deserve buzz for that win. Do you agree with me that you deal with these coaches just like I do? And I love Kevin Kruger, right? Arroyo to me is just a weird guy. He's not good with the media. He always seems agitated when he talks to us. I don't like the way he answers questions. Even Josh McDaniels, he's good with the media, right? He's honest. He's always good with us, right? Becky Hammond is the best. I love Becky Hammond. I liked Bill Laimbeer. I love Cassidy. I think he's great. He's honest. He wears his heart on his sleeve. I love the way he answers. Didn't really like DeBoer very much. Loved Gallant. I don't have a problem with any coaches in this town. The only person that I'm not too fond of is Coach Arroyo. I just don't like him. And I hear from past players that played for him, and I hear some people say, you either love him or you hate him. And I'm like, you conduct yourself like you've won national championships and you're going to the Rose Bowl. What have you done here? You were an offensive coordinator. You were an average college quarterback. What have you done here yet? Right? You've lost 5 games in a row. I get it. If you make a bowl game, some people are going to paint him out to be some sort of hero, I guess. Not me, but I'll say, hey, job well done. You made a bowl game. Let's go back to back. Do you agree with me that sometimes he just conducts himself as arrogant?
Yeah, I don't ask him questions. I'm not really asking him questions about the games. I'm covering it, again, from the business side.
Right.
However, my observation, especially in year 1 into year 2, is that I thought he was major leaguing the media. That was my own opinion.
I agree.
I think he has improved. I think he has become a little more friendly, and he seems to be connecting a little more. But when he came here, I think, keep in mind he did. I think his resume does include a stop, I think, with the Tampa Bay Bucks and the NFL. And my impression was that, hey, I'm in the major leagues. UNLV's kind of a down program, and that was just my general.
Then he shouldn't have taken the job.
Looking at him from outside.
He shouldn't have taken the job then. I know he had some sort of relationship. I'll put that in quotations with Desiree Reed-Francois. She hires him. Glad she's gone. What did you make of her as an athletic director?
She was ambitious.
Yeah.
I mean, she obviously had her career prospects beyond Las Vegas.
No question.
And
I agree. No question. All right, let's talk about this article you wrote, which I thought was a well-written article in regards to the sports aspect of Sisolak compared to Lombardo. I think we all could agree Sisolak, champion of professional sports here. I'd say hello to him and his wife, lovely wife, at every Aces game. I voted for Steve Sisolak. I did not vote for Lombardo. I didn't think Lombardo was a great sheriff. I don't know how he's going to be as governor. I don't think the sky's going to fall. Do you think Lombardo will be able to reach those expectations and what Sisolak did here as governor in helping sports franchises in Nevada?
Right. Let's just take a step back and talk about what Sisolak did. I mean, he was a huge proponent, even when he was the county commission chairman, of the public subsidy to build the Raiders Stadium.
Right.
Keep in mind that he also, in the commission, did approve the Raiders Stadium plan when it had, I think, about 3,000 parking spaces when the local county guidelines said they needed something like 16,000. So Steve Sisolak has been a big proponent, big advocate for the Raiders and their stadium. He's been a very big proponent of the Aces. He and Mark Davis sat courtside. He was a big proponent for the Formula One and that event going on. And he was a big proponent for the Aviators. I mean, he was there. Steve Sisolak used to joke, and this is his pat joke, about he loved going to these stadium and ballpark groundbreakings, and he actually had more shovels than Home Depot. That was his go-to line. It's a funny line.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, just to put things in perspective, Brian, I've covered the business of sports in South Florida, Tampa Bay, Seattle, Denver, and Metro New York. I have not seen an elected official so expressive and exuberant for the sports product. And it's more than just being a fan. I mean, it converted into public policy that helped the teams. And I'm leading up to the fact that Joe Lombardo has not discussed one iota about the role of sports in our community.
Have you ever seen him at any of these games?
He's been to Vegas Golden Knight games, so he was there at season 1.
I've never seen him at a Raiders game. I've never seen him at an Aces game. I just want my governor, and he's going to be our governor. I want him to be at games. And I know that you can't go to every game. You're a busy guy. You're the governor. I get that. Sandoval went to a lot of games.
Right. What's interesting about sports, and this is why I like covering the topic, is that it's nonpartisan. In terms of public policy and subsidies for sports, it's not an ideological platform of a Republican or Democrat. There's some Republicans and some Democrats that support $750 million to help build the Raider Stadium. By the way, it's more than $750 million because our market actually is collecting more than $1 billion in hotel room tax revenue to pay off the debt for the $750 million. So that's a 30-year repayment period. We'll be raising more than $1 billion. That's a huge commitment. There are Republicans and Democrats who support that, and there are Republicans and Democrats who oppose it. That's why I like covering the topic. It's not partisan. It's not ideology. And I kind of Vegas.
That is true.
And Las Vegas is a fascinating market because the things we do in terms of public subsidies probably would not fly in other markets.
Yeah.
I mean, we sunk a lot of money into the stadium because we are a tourism-based economy.
Isn't that you bring up an interesting point though, because we are so divided right now politically. But I think one of them, not I think I know, the things that really bring us together as a country are usually a couple things. Sports being one of them, music, concerts, stuff like entertainment.
Right.
And that's the great thing about sports, right? Even though you, in today's day and age, still see certain politicians like Ted Cruz went to the Yankees game when they played Houston in the World Series, and I know Ted Cruz was booed pretty badly by the New Yorkers, rightfully so, by the way. I'd boo him too. But for the most part, sports brings us together.
Yeah, I just don't know. I've made inquiries and I've tried to talk to Joe Lombardo. I've been unsuccessful. And
you and me both.
Yeah, I'm still trying. I mean, I just want to just get his perspectives on.
So you've reached out to his campaign, and they haven't been receptive to
Not
you.
yet, but I mean, I want to give it a little time. And they just had a big election. I'm going to give them, a few weeks.
What do you make of the story, though? Listen, you're in the media, just like I am. I'm sure you heard the story that he didn't allow some Las Vegas Sun reporters into his acceptance speech.
Well, I as a journalist, if you're a governor and you just won an election, I don't understand why you're shutting off access to anyone in the media.
Well, he just doesn't like them, and it's wrong.
Right. And to me, it just struck me as kind of petty and small-minded. I mean, I'm a journalist. I'm going to support every journalist's right to collect and report news. Generically speaking, it's codified in our Constitution.
Well,
I think that's important. And also keep in mind that he kind of, I think, what's sad is that at his little for his first speech as the governor-elect at the Rancho High School, the high school he went to, I get it, that's where it started. I have no problem with that. But then the reason was that there wasn't enough seats for the Nevada Current and the Las Vegas Sun to have media representatives there. And then the pictures came out of all these like rows and rows and rows of empty seats. Also, he brought up the issue of transparency. You can't bring up the issue and say, I want to be transparent, and then cut off access to the media to cover the first speech that you're presenting when you're the governor-elect. But that's not really public policy. That has to do with, I think, just doing the right thing in terms of making your information. All the people want to do is report about you. I mean, you don't even know what they're going to report about. I mean, just allow them the access to see it in person.
I had John Ralston on yesterday. We were talking about this, and John was kind of alluding to the fact that, hey, let's give him a break. This might be an isolated incident, and I love John and I respect him to death, but here's my opinion. I don't think this is isolated. He had conversations with Stephen Klubeck, big Democrat donor here, about wanting to take down the Las Vegas Sun because he didn't like some of the articles that Greenspun and that group were writing about him. he doesn't like to be challenged. And I know some politicians, there were times where Sisolak didn't like being challenged either, but he never said, no, you can't cover any of my events either. I'm concerned. I'm concerned that Lombardo is going to be, I'm right, everybody else is wrong. Now, I know that he likes to say he wants to work with everybody and he's everybody's governor. Actions speak louder than words. So my main concern with him is not even really policy. It's more about inclusion. And he better allow people to cover him, his press conferences, everybody. And he better not withhold information like he did at Metro. That's my big concern with him.
Well, keep in mind, again, I kind of look at these workplace issues as culture. Like you said, he comes from a police background. I mean, I don't even know what government public policy shaping that Lombardo has done. And I do have to say, I did read the list of the people on his transition committee, and there were some names in there that I think will help him, guide him in terms of being more accessible.
A lot of people in the Sandoval administration.
Right, and you had, like Jeremy Aguero, who's the principal of, he was a consultant that worked on the stadium, for example. So he's going to be getting input from someone who has done research on, on
Alan,
stadium and arena growth.
I don't like Joe Lombardo personally, but I am rooting for him because I know if he succeeds, then the state will succeed. I want him to do well. Like I said, my concerns are don't be a dictatorship. Allow everybody to cover your events, even people you don't like. I don't like the fact that he doesn't do interviews with people that are going to challenge him on things. That I don't like about him.
But I
either.
would personally like to see what his position is about the Oakland Athletics baseball park.
It's a good question.
I mean, Steve Sisolak clearly was against it, and the reason was that he's very close friends with Mark Davis, and Mark Davis and the Oakland Athletics butted heads at Alameda Stadium in Oakland.
Yeah.
That's not really a big secret. I mean, everyone knew that, and Sisolak and the county commission in Clark County said no public money for Oakland Athletics baseball park. Joe Lombardo? Question mark. I don't know what.
Well, let me say
what his
this.
position
You
is.
better not get in the way.
And I'd like to hear it.
Joe Lombardo, you better not get in the way because a lot of people before you have paved the way. I'll start even with Oscar Goodman with the NBA All-Star Weekend that was here many years ago that I covered. We got the Vegas Golden Knights here, extremely successful franchise. Would not have happened, yes, without Foley, but also without politicians here that wanted it to happen, including Oscar Goodman.
And the Maloofs, too.
The Maloofs. Yeah. Okay, we got the Knights here. And then all of a sudden the Raiders come to town. And that was not because of Joe Lombardo. None of this stuff happened because of Joe Lombardo.
That was because of a stadium that was approved by actually both parties in the state legislature.
Correct.
Lombardo and Brian Sandoval, who is a Republican, sparked that whole movement.
And we talked about Sandoval with Amy Tarkanian. I was talking about Sandoval. I thought he was a pretty darn good governor and a decent man and a man that was willing to work with Democrats. We need more people like Sandoval in office, and I hope Lombardo was that guy. I am hesitant to say that. I don't know. But, Alan, even if he is not pro-sports or pro-A's coming here, whatever, just don't get in the way. Don't get in the way of what the people want here.
I don't think he's going to hurt the growth of the sports at all. I mean, right now it's a machine on the move. I mean, teams are coming here. I don't think he's going to be in the way. I just don't know if he'll be as enthusiastic and as play kind of an advocacy role like Steve Sisolak. I doubt that Joe's going to, hurt sports per se. I just don't see him being such an ultra uber kind of advocate like Steve Sisolak.
Right, understood.
Which I think would be hard for anyone to really.
So obviously you have advertisers on your website. At the same time, you take contributions from people that enjoy it. So I want to also give you an opportunity to give out that information. How do people, first of all, finding you on social media and getting involved with lvsportsbiz.com?
Yeah, we have a small but mighty little news site, lvsportsbiz.com. Our stories are actually quoted nationally, and our traffic actually, this month's traffic is the highest in 12 months, so we're definitely improving. It's as you know, it's hard to get advertisers, and it takes a lot of hard work.
Yep.
And we do rely on contributions. Right now, we do not have a paywall. There's a lot of sites that do charge for you to get access to their stories. You read our content for free, and it would be great if people can just simply go on the site. There is a window that pops up. You can make a contribution right through the window. It could be that simple. Or if you want to contact me directly, I'm at asnell, which is ASNEL, at lvsportsbiz.com. And I just want to let you know we're relaunching our Top of the Escalator feature. We used to talk with fans as they got off the escalator before Golden Knight games on the main concourse.
Mm-hmm.
They would enter in the lobby, come up to the main concourse, and we'd actually have a tripod and a camera. We'd interview fans. We kind of put it in mothballs because of the pandemic. And I'm proud to say that we are reigniting Top of the Escalator 2.0 on the next homestand. So you fans at the Golden Knight games, in fact, Brian, you too should. I need you to swing by and
I might have to do that. I'm lazy though. I just take the elevator. I just go.
Make a pit stop at level 1, Brian, and come on.
I just go elevator up to the media room. Give me my popcorn and candy and my laptop. Let me sit there and watch some NHL hockey. You know me. I'm lazy. I'll be doing that tomorrow at the college basketball games. I'm wondering what the attendance will be. I mean, I don't know. You got a lot.
I think the final will be really good.
Yeah.
You know, I was mentioning to you the Duke Gonzaga game. That was a month.
Awesome.
That was like 20,000 people.
Sold out.
I think
Banchero, of course, #1 pick. Watching him play, a lot of
Gonzaga
NBA
had a lot of good players.
A lot of NBA talent was on that floor. That was such a well-played basketball game.
It was an electric game.
I watched Krzyzewski, and I asked him a question about Vegas after the game. He gave me a great answer because that was, of course, talking about fond memories of Jerry Tarkanian.
Right.
And, of course, him coaching the USA basketball team. He had a lot of fond memories, and he told me after that game in the media room, he said, I told my players in the locker room, that was Kobe Bryant's locker, that was LeBron James' locker. I just thought that was so cool. Say what you want about Coach Krzyzewski, but showed a lot of class on his way out.
He's also buddies with Steve Wynn. I mean,
they're very close. Yeah. They're very close. Steve Wynn has fallen off the graces of a lot of people the last several years. But anyway, Alan, I do appreciate you being here as always. Appreciate you coming in studio, and you're a good man, and you do a great job covering LVSportsBiz.com. I will say this though: if Liz Cambage ever comes back to town, I want you to be the one to ask all the questions. I really do, because I know she got a little angry at you, and she is the worst human being in the history of the WNBA.
I don't foresee Liz coming back to the Aces roster.
She is just an awful person, and I have nothing nice to say about her. But anyway, I have a lot of things to say nice about you, Alan.
Listen, Brian, there are few people who combine politics and sports the way you do. In fact, a lot of people honestly don't have the backbone to actually do it, and you do. So you deserve a lot of credit. I mean, and that's why I think I enjoy talking with you, is that for a lot of our topics, like Sisolek and Lombardo and the Oakland A's and this and that, there are very few people who really get into this convergence, because most people just want to stick to sports and they don't want. But the fact is, if you're going to develop sports in a market, you can't help but get involved with economic development and politics and business.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's very nice, Alan. And I talk about a lot of the things that you have on your website every day. So I appreciate you coming on. That's probably why we get along. Alan Snell, everybody. Alan, appreciate you being here. All right, folks, that's a wrap. We will see you tomorrow on the show. And we're going to have some fun tomorrow. We're going to be previewing what will be a very exciting weekend here in Las Vegas. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal